Today we will be highlighting positional coaches, in particular Coach Prime's defensive end coach. But before we do, as always, let's take a quick look at what this job entails and how important it is to the team. A defensive end positional coach is responsible for the development and execution of strategies and techniques that enable the defensive end to effectively execute his role on the field. This includes studying game films and scouting reports to identify weaknesses in the opposing team's offensive line and developing a plan to exploit them. In addition, a defensive end positional coach is responsible for teaching the fundamentals of the position, such as proper stance, footwork, hand placement, and tackling techniques. They must also work on the player's agility, speed, and strength to ensure that they are physically prepared to execute their role effectively. The defensive end, like other positions, has seen a lot of changes. Because of this, defensive ends coaches have had to recalibrate as well. So I think it's worth touching on before we look at Coach Prime's selection. Over the years, the role of the defensive end position in college football has evolved significantly. Traditionally, defensive ends were seen as big, strong players tasked with stopping the run and getting after the quarterback. However, as offenses have become more dynamic and mobile quarterbacks have become increasingly common, the role of the defensive end has shifted. Nowadays, the many successful college football teams utilize a hybrid approach to their defensive end position. This means that they employ players who possess a combination of size, strength, speed, and agility, allowing them to be effective in a variety of roles. For example, a hybrid defensive end might be used to stop the run, rush the passer, and even drop back into coverage. A good defensive end positional coach is invaluable in helping their players develop the skills necessary to excel in these hybrid roles. They must be able to identify players who have the potential to be successful in these positions, and then work with them to develop their skills and techniques. One of the most important aspects of a good defensive end positional coach is their ability to adapt to changing trends in the game. As offenses have become more pass-oriented and mobile quarterbacks have become more prevalent, the role of the defensive end has shifted towards that of the edge rusher. Edge rushers are defensive players who specialize in getting after the quarterback, using their speed and agility to disrupt the opposing team's passing game. Successful college football teams now use edge rushers as a key part of their defensive scheme, with the defensive end playing a critical role in this position. A good defensive end positional coach must also be able to design schemes and strategies that utilize the edge rusher effectively, taking into account the strengths and weaknesses of both the player and the opposing team's offense. So who did Coach Prime hire as his new defensive ends coach? That would be Coach Nick Williams. In his first year as CU head coach, Deion Sanders has loaded his coaching staff with experience. Williams doesn't have much yet, but there's something about him that Sanders has liked from the start, and it might be his ability to relate to young players, while also absorbing knowledge from his mentors. Williams joins the coaching staff after recently spending the past few years working for national championship-winning coaches Kirby Smart at Georgia and Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M. Under Coach Kirby Smart, Williams proved himself. He spent 5 years on the Georgia staff, where he worked with defense but was mainly renowned for his recruiting. Under Jimbo Fisher, Williams was a defensive analyst. He gives high praise to Coach Fisher as one of his most valued mentors. While there, he was not only learning from one of the best, and with the Aggies, once again made his mark as a recruiter. Williams is known as a sponge. He soaks up the knowledge of those who came before him. But at 33 years of age, he is also able to relate to young players. He was a player himself not many years ago at the University of Georgia. He has been known to be able to motivate players and get them eager to learn. Williams, from Bainbridge, Georgia, played at Georgia and North Alabama before brief pro stints in the Canadian Football League and Arena Football, since his playing days came to an end. Williams has risen in the coaching ranks as he's been able to learn at top-notch schools and from legendary coaches. He also credits a lot of his development to Pete Jenkins, a highly respected and longtime defensive line coach who most recently worked at LSU in 2017. Williams believes the key to success for CU's defense is to create havoc by compiling sacks, tackles for loss, pass breakups, and forcing turnovers. Williams was quoted saying, quote, "That's what it's about. The ball, the ball, the ball," Williams said, taking violent shots on the ball. Whether you're punching it out, ripping it out, whether you put your hat on the ball. Havoc, havoc, havoc. And that's what we're going to demand out of our defensive guys. End quote. Coach Prime has filled his staff with many battle-tested coaches. He has some old-school no-nonsense coaches with over 30 years of coaching experience. Many have are former head coaches and some have coached in the NFL. But he also has injected some new blood into and the defensive line is a great place to add that vigor. I expect Coach Williams to have his D-line turned up and causing mayhem for offenses. His energy should translate and be seen in some high-energy havoc on defense. On top of that, Coach Prime has a slow-gained and elite recruiter. So that's a plus. In conclusion, the role of a college football defensive end positional coach is a critical one, requiring a deep understanding of the game, strong teaching and communication skills, and the ability to motivate and lead players. With these qualities and attributes, a successful defensive end positional coach can help their players achieve success on the field and beyond. As always, folks, thanks for watching and subscribing. Have a blessed day.